Life is hectic, demanding, and doesn't stop. When honest with ourselves, we must confess we often don't know what the hell we're doing. The Larkcast is an ongoing conversation about the inclusive and mischievous nature of God's presence through the lens of all the things that make up this phenomenon we refer to as life. Astonishing grace and refreshing honesty collide right here for your weekly encouragement.
3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Larkcast. It's Christmas Eve, dude.
It is Christmas Eve.
Christmas
It's
Eve.
flown by, dude.
The whole year. It's so crazy. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the risk of sounding old. You remember when you were a kid and like summer vacation felt like an eternity. Christmas vacation and like felt like, dude, like 2 weeks. And then, when you get to be our age, you start to find the wisdom in, Rusty Cole's breakdown of time in True Detective season 1, talking about how time's a flat circle. It's kind of like almost like a vinyl, you start on the outside, you're younger, you got these big loops around this vinyl. Then when you get to the middle, it gets shorter and shorter. I think there's something to that because like things used to feel like forever when we were younger, and now it's like, man, time just flies.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd always hear that as a kid. You would just kind of to the point where like it would just get annoying, right? Enjoy it now while you're a kid, enjoy it now. Then you fast forward and now I'm that guy walking around telling people, dude, slow down. Seriously, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right? I got this new grandbaby and my daughter's like, I think his teeth are coming in and he's holding a sippy cup. And I'm like, slow down, enjoy.
Yeah.
No, we don't want the teeth to come yet. You don't want him holding that sippy cup yet. You don't want him up running around yet. And I get it, like, right, you're a new parent, you're just eager and excited about the next steps. And
Those firsts. Yeah.
yeah, but to me, I found myself thinking about that just in regards to like life. Because I'm with you, man. Christmas season used to feel so long. And like 3 days ago, I was like, so, because I'm bad with calendars for anybody that's out there. I know you're laughing pretty hard right now. It's a true statement. And I was like 3 days ago that I was doing something, and I'm like, so when's Christmas? Like week after next? And my wife looks at me, and she's like, Christmas is next. It's in like 6 days.
It's in 3 days.
And I was like,
It's today. It's today. Christmas is today, Russ. Go take a shower, please.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's been a season. It's been fun though. It's flown
Yeah.
by. So Merry
Oh
Christmas
man.
to
Merry
all you
Christmas.
folks out
Merry
there.
Chrysler to everybody out there. We genuinely hope you have an amazing week. All the, traditions
Yeah.
and people coming over to those who are hosting. Dude, we're doing a barbecue Christmas this year. Normally we do this kind of like traditional Italian feast, but everyone was like, dude, we want to do something different.
Mm.
And so my buddy has a barbecue business. It's mostly just like a food truck, like nice, really long food trailer. And he's got a big commercial smoker in there at their property, like one of those rotisserie, like you could fit 50 briskets on this thing. So he did he did a Christmas like employee appreciation thing for
Yeah.
a plumbing company around here like this weekend. And I was like, hey bro, can you throw a couple extra briskets on there for me? And Terry Black's, if you go to their website, they have brisket reheating instructions that are pretty solid.
Mm.
You can get that thing back to like, pretty close to fresh. So everyone's bringing like barbecue sides, and I'm gonna be making barbecue sauces from scratch. So yeah, we're doing barbecue Christmas, dude.
Throwing down, bro.
Dude, I can't wait. It's gonna be so good.
I love it. We're doing something unique too on this side. We always do like the traditional, Christmas meal.
Like what,
but
a ham, a turkey? What is traditional for you?
both.
Okay.
Yeah. Or we'll do like sometimes we'll just if we did, all turkey like at Thanksgiving, we'll do all ham, for Christmas. And naturally like all the fixings that sort of, you know, follow that,
Fixins.
follow that, follow that train. And but this year, man, we got a bunch of neighbors that we've been able to pull together. So we're doing like a just all out Christmas party, smoked prime rib.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Are you smoking it?
Now, my neighbor across the street, shout out to Jason. He's from Alabama. He knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah, dude, Jason's gonna kill this thing.
Yeah. So
All you needed to say was Alabama, and I'm like, all right, yeah, this is gonna be good.
yeah, man, I got him. He's pulling double duty, man. He's a good neighbor. He's not just smoking prime rib, man, for everybody, but
He's
the
smoking
night before,
reefer.
yeah, the night before at about 10 o'clock at night, he's got to come over to my house with a headlamp, help me put this trampoline together.
Oh, you're surprising Eli with a trampoline,
Yeah,
dude. That's awesome. He's gonna freaking love that thing,
yeah, man.
dude. That is so sweet.
His like ambition in life right now is to be able to do a standing backflip.
Yeah, that's cool.
To be seven, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to be
Right?
seven.
What do you want in the world, Eli? When you think about all that life is and could be, what's like the top of your list, man? Like desire. Well, Dan, I'd really love to do a backflip.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Like,
man.
like this kid might be closer to the good news than the rest of us.
So good. I just remember that anticipation at Christmas, being a kid, and then waking up and just not getting everything you asked for. Then you just that disillusion sets in that Santa's not real, and your parents just don't make a lot of money, and then you're just Christmas is just super sad. I'm kidding, kidding.
Oh, oh man, Santa's
Yeah,
real. But in the words of my mom when I was a kid, he's got limited funds.
yeah.
Can't just be
Speak.
asking for anything.
Speaking of being let down and bummed out, we're continuing in the book of James today.
Speaking of that letter in the Bible where you scratch your head going, why? I'm still wrestling with why this is here. But we do have to give James props, which I believe is why it has been included in the canon. Um, if you're new to this, he is an early convert. This is a book, like one of the first letters written in the New Testament.
Yep.
As you follow the timeline of the early church in the book of Acts, you see a people who are awakening to right this mystery of who God is
Hmm.
right in all things and the reconciling of all things. And so you see these ahas even among them as they're moving through the story. And I think looking at James, we can see that. Like this is a guy who wasn't fully grabbing onto all that's going to be exposed in the Gospels, right? Or later on, like in the writings of Paul.
Yeah,
And
or
so if you're
like
not
even
careful, I was just saying, if you're not careful, you can develop this theology of James and you start, seeing everything through it versus like, no, this is one early piece in the New
yeah.
Testament story. What we can attest to for it is the value that it does bring is wisdom. So we treat it like wisdom literature.
Hmm.
Um,
And he's like, pretty, brutally honest about their behaviors, things that they're doing, the impact that it has in their life, the impact that it
yeah,
has in their, community. And so we always say on the Larcast that the law is good, and it is good. It shows us what
yeah,
is good, beautiful, and true. It's just meant to lead you somewhere else, not, leave you with just the law in your hand and telling you to like, pat you on the back and tell you to get it together. So, yeah, no, it's good to remind everybody of that before we jump in here.
yeah. Because we're going to be winding up, this letter, and hopefully it'll, always live wherever you get your podcast, but also like you can just go to larkside.com, click on teaching series and get access to it there. And there's going to be moments in life, man, where if you're living in freedom, you're going to get hit by people who are using this book like a sword, man.
Yeah.
Just running around trying to cut people off at the knees. And it's good to actually know what it's saying and to go, stop. Seriously,
Yeah.
stop.
Right. You think
Uh,
like James, because he's like Jesus' brother, he's like those dudes, like you'll get like a rap group, and then all of a sudden, like this dude's cousin gets one too under the same label just because he's like related.
yep.
I wonder if there's a little bit of that, going on. Well, it's Jesus' brother, so
Well, we got to give him,
this
we
has to
got,
be in the canon.
we can't not give this guy a book deal.
And it's got like a couple bangers on the album, like a couple good songs. Like there's some
Yeah.
stuff in James. I'm just like, man, dude, amen. Even,
But then you have like
in
verse
verse
six.
13 today, like a really, really good one.
Yeah. It's like, but speaking of like some of the ones where you're scratching your head, right? Like verse six, chapter four, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. And you're like, well, yeah, but that's contrary to all the parables that Jesus taught. It's contrary to the God who came not to condemn, but to love.
Yeah, I thought God
Second
was
Timothy chapter 1 says
gracious.
grace was given to all, right? John, grace upon grace was given. Like grace on top of grace.
Hmm.
Um, because we're a people who need grace.
Right.
But then you can look at it and go, well, maybe in a terms of like wisdom literature, it's like, no, God, that the proud spirit is something that's in opposition to him.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. All right. So, we start to maybe see it like through that lens. Submit
Hmm.
yourselves, therefore, to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Right? Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. It's like, yeah, man, amen. And that one's tricky because, excuse me, there's so much out there, dude, around this idea of like a distant God that, I'm just trying to get real close to the Lord right now. I'm just trying to get close to the Lord. I'm just trying to like just live in his presence. If I draw near to him, man, he'll draw near to me. And it's like, uh, I think that's in James is speaking about this in terms of like where you exist in life. He's talking about just relationally. You're going to be tempted, right? So resist the temptation, resist the devil, and he's going to flee from you. By how? Well, when you're facing these things, these temptations that are going to lead you into things that are harmful to you and harmful to others, just go to the Lord in prayer. Talk to him about it. Lean in. You know what I'm saying? God, help me in this. Help
Hmm.
me trust you in this instead of what I'm feeling or thinking or hearing over here. That's what he's speaking to. He's not speaking to this popular idea of like, yeah, man, I'm just really trying to just get close to the Lord. Because that has is as popular as that idea is, it has no basis in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't get any closer to Jesus than you are because according to the scriptures, you literally exist in him
Hmm.
and he's living his life in you, not by you, in you.
Yeah.
So you're never not in his presence. You
Right.
never have to do anything to get close to him.
Yeah. And it's like,
That's freeing to me.
yeah, I remember, as a young Christian, well, even an older one, with just a lot of bad theology, thinking that, you're really close to God because you've been crushing it, at life lately. And then when you do, something disqualifying or, just hurtful or whatever, you almost have to go through this like 2 week season where like you really feel like the weight of it. God's just
Yeah.
like very, very far away. Then after a certain amount of time, it's like, all right, cool. Like I did my time, you know,
Yeah.
I did my time over here in my sackcloth and ashes, and almost like just time itself is redeeming you and giving you access to the throne. And I love that. It's like, dude, man, like run to him. You know, he's
Yep.
good. Jesus is the one who, makes us, who qualifies us, who gives us access to the throne, and we're in him. You don't have to, put in your 2 weeks time.
Mm-mm. Yeah. No, that thing that you're struggling with, he's been present in that with you the whole
And
time.
he knew that about you before he jumped into a relationship with you. He knew exactly who we were when he
Yeah.
decided to take on flesh and unite himself to humanity. He
Yeah.
knew. He knows you.
Yeah. That's like literally what we're celebrating, right? Christmas.
Yeah.
Emmanuel, God
God
with
with
us.
us.
I remember one time I was driving down the road and I was thinking about that and I just jotted this little note down and I think we posted it and it did I guess pretty well because I guess it hit a nerve with others the way it did with me, but just a very simple thought that I always just smile at Christmas time is we needed Emmanuel, God with us, not a manual
Not Emmanuel.
to
Such a
to
good
get
one.
to him or to become like him or
Yeah.
whatever it is, like fill in the blank. Like, no, that's that's religion at its finest.
Hmm.
That's not the good news of our union in Jesus.
Yeah.
And so again, we can look at that and go, okay, so the wisdom here is draw near to him. Draw near to him. Humble yourselves before him. Have a let let all that he has done and declared help define, right, who you are. That means bringing the baggage in all, right, the shame, the guilt, just letting it sit there and like, yeah, man, this is part of me. But also a part of me is a God who's present in that and loves me in spite of it.
Hmm.
Like that's that spirit of humility, man. It's
Yeah. Those things are not
a
a
good thing.
barrier to him loving you. They're not a barrier to you coming to him. It's beautiful.
So James continues, right? He's like, hey, just so we're on the topic here of like what this life could be, don't speak evil against one another. The one who speaks evil against a brother or judges a brother speaks evil against the law and judges the law. But if you judge the law, you who are a doer of the law, right? But a judge, there's only one lawgiver and judge. He is able to save and to destroy. But seriously, who are you to judge your neighbor? Right? He asks. I think it's again, there's wisdom in that, right? There's wisdom in saying, man, let go of the platform, guys. There's one spirit of God who's at work in all of us. We weren't invited into the task of fixing ourselves or fixing other people, which means we can let go of the judging, right? The judgment that we keep pronouncing upon other people. He's not saying you can't look at something that's not good and go, yeah, that's not good. He's not saying that when something is being done that's wrong and hurtful, you can't point that out and say, no, because that's actually not judging someone. What he's saying is stop defining people by what they do. Stop declaring a judgment of in or out based off people's behaviors and how well they perform. This is ludicrous.
Yeah. And can we just say that, like, judging others, it feels so good, dude. Like,
Yeah.
we all do it. And there is, like, there's a cathartic, uh, piece to it when you're just sitting in that chair of judgment and looking down, dude. You're able to like just build yourself up in this most like effed up way, you know. And
Yeah.
I think that it's fitting that that follows, the whole idea of pride for James, because it is pride. You're kind of putting yourself in a seat and a chair that only belongs to one,
Yeah.
and you're putting yourself there. You're exalting yourself while judging, other people. And there is a piece to the flesh that feels so good, dude. I do it. I do it without thinking sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. I can remember what that feels like, man, from a
Yeah,
long time
you
ago.
remember that? Yeah.
It's an easy place to get to.
before you hit the sanctified state you've been in the last,
Yeah.
few years.
Well,
Yeah.
I've been putting in the work, man, just to get close to him.
That's good.
And no, I'm with you, dude. I think it's why sports and politics and are now 24/7 entertainment, man.
Hmm.
Right? Like there's the thing in human nature, man, and our love for control, our desire to be God, that we just love the drama, man, that comes with being able to define ourselves against another.
Mm.
And it's sad, but it's true. And
True.
I think what we're saying in view of like a passage like this is in a lot of modern Christianity, you would look at these verses and say, don't do this so that you can be a follower of Jesus, be a disciple of Jesus, right? And what we're saying is, no, 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 no. You're already free in Jesus because of who Jesus already is for you
Hmm.
and for everyone else. That is our reality. That is the air we breathe.
Yep.
That is a grace that works like gravity.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have a confidence in anything else, that's idolatry.
Yeah.
It's self righteousness.
It's pride, it's destruction. And so what I think what we can look at James here, what he's saying, and I love this, is we're not saying do these things and you'll be loved, you'll belong, you'll get in.
Mm-mm.
We're saying no, no, no. It's because you're already loved, you already belong, you're already in, that you're free to now walk in these things that are good and beautiful. You can choose not to and feel the pain, right? That can come with that if that's the life you want to run. And what's crazy is God will love you and he'll be with you in it. I think what we're saying, which might be what James is even saying, I don't know, is why do you want to? Why spend time judging others knowing it's in opposition to the one who loves you. It's unloving to them and it's only eroding your own joy, right? It's
Yeah.
like
I
so cool
mean,
to flip that, you know what I mean? Like in a
yeah.
good way. It's like,
It just feels so good to be in the club, like exclusivity, like we love it. I
yeah,
think this way, all the rest of the good people in the world behave this way, and these people are over here doing this. You're out, I'm in. Um, it feels good. There's a level of comfort there, albeit false, um, for sure. Yeah, we just love
yeah,
that.
yeah, we do. We do. So, I guess
And that's the scandal of the gospel, isn't it? I mean, the beauty of the gospel is God delights to forgive me and my sin. The scandal of it is he delights to do the same for people you look down your nose at
yeah,
and for your enemies,
yeah,
supposed enemies.
yeah, yeah, man. Put that one in your theological pipe and smoke it. See, see,
Put that in your theological bong and hit that.
yeah, see where that takes you. It's it's violent, but it's beautiful, right? It's so needed, man. And I think that's kind of where he's running with all this is he's just kind of calling out like all of these things that seem to rob us of the joy, right? Of what you're talking about. And maybe James hasn't come at it from that lens yet. Maybe he hasn't fully seen or grasped it all, just like the early, right? Apostles didn't.
Yeah, if he's
I mean, he
like
gets all the
Peter,
way to chapter 15 in Acts before they're like, oh, I guess we could stop, putting all of these laws and rituals on people. See how Jesus
yeah,
buried religion in his death and
it's one
left
of
it there when he came out of the grave.
yeah, it's one of the things I love about Peter's arc, is he gets to chapter 10 and like literally Jesus has to bring him three visions of meat falling from the sky just so he'll be okay with eating, meals with Gentiles. and proclaiming the news that they're included too.
Yeah.
10 chapters, dude.
Yeah. And my favorite part of that story is that God brings these dreams to him, and Peter argues with God himself 3 times.
3 times.
3 times. No, this possibly can't. This can't be true.
And
You're wrong, Lord.
has to send a dude from the crew that he wants to,
Yeah.
get good news to come find him and drag him over there.
To a party. Yeah. Yeah, man. That's our story, right? That's our story. And amen for the God who is willing to go to those lengths, not to get us in, but to wake us up to the joy of being in. That's the difference, man.
Hmm.
That's the difference. And so on this continued rant here, just winding out chapter 4, James moves on in his like sort of practical wisdom here and says, listen, you who say tomorrow, today or tomorrow, we will go into such and such a town and spend a year there and trade and make a profit. Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. Then he asks this question: what is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you boast in your arrogance. And all such boasting is just it's evil. It's opposite, right? Of the reality of who God is and who you are in him. He's basically saying, verse 17, so whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him it is sin. And of course, Romans defines sin uh actually not as disobedience or bad behavior. It actually defines sin as unbelief, for the opposite, right? Of sin, according to Romans 14, is not virtue. The opposite of sin is faith, it says.
Hmm.
And so what James is saying is that a lot of what you guys are running in and pursuing, okay, and not doing as a result is actually evidence of your unbelief, your disbelief, your distrust in the one who is your union with God and who is there, right? Pointing to all these other people, their union with God. Sins, okay, lowercase s, yes, they can be, acts of, right? Things that we do that are destructive, but they, again, they're acts of unbelief because the root understanding of sin is unbelief.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
think there's wisdom there, man. Like, dude, this myth of tomorrow, make sure you treat it as a myth. Because the only thing you actually have is today.
Yeah. It's this understanding that like you're sovereign, you and your life is the only thing going on and the thing that matters
Yeah.
in this world, not knowing that there's a God who made you, who makes your heart beat, who puts air in your lungs,
Yep.
who sustains all human life, and that tomorrow is not promised. Good times are not
Mm-mm.
promised. Um, and it's just again, it's just another one of those symptoms of pride that creeps into just even how you view your calendar and your years, and your life as a whole. And I think it's good to
Yeah.
have goals. I think it's good to be ambitious in some ways. And obviously, like it's very smart to plan and, and schedule things and all that. I wish I was a little bit better at those things. It's more of an overall attitude of like, yeah, man, I'm it.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this. There's no humility in it at all in seeing, you know, um, something bigger than yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things that's like I find myself rejoicing in the Christmas message, when I look at things like this. When I find myself getting caught up in tomorrow and trying to live tomorrow today, it's or even finding myself like boasting in, right, what I'm gonna do tomorrow and just having to hit a little bit of a pause there and just find myself thankful for. And the story that we celebrate at Christmas is incarnation, man. And I know we love to talk about, especially in the Christian circles, like death and resurrections, everything, death and resurrection. But man, they all ride upon, I feel like, the bigger story of the incarnation. You're talking about a world that thought God left, he's distant.
Hmm.
And everywhere you look, people are erecting ladders and how to get to him. But the bigger story is like, no, God himself came down the ladder and then kicked down the ladder.
Hmm.
And he doesn't put a new one up in its place, and he doesn't, or he doesn't leave the old one there and say, hey, I'm going to be your guide and teach you to climb. He's like, no, no, the story that we're celebrating is I'm with you. In fact, I became flesh
Hmm.
to reveal this mystery that I've always been with you. I
Hmm.
never left. I never stopped loving you.
Yeah. Yep.
Rejoice in this reality today. And yeah, make some plans for tomorrow. Amen. Some goals are good, right? Discipline's a good thing. But the second you turn that into the thing, that's where, right, the pride sets in
Yeah.
and destruction follows, man.
And so similar to your like we need a manual, not a manual.
Yeah.
My thing um that stuck with me, especially considering the incarnation, is that God's the God of what is, not what ought to be.
Yeah.
And so ladders and a life of the law and a theology of James is going to constantly hold up right in your face what ought to be and the expectation of what ought to be.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, but the truth about the incarnation is to show us that he's not a distant God, like a parent standing far off at a distance, watching a little one take their first steps, like, come to me, come on over here. He came down to be like us, to take on flesh, to make
Yeah.
his home among humanity and forever unite the Godhead to humanity. And so he's the God of what is. It's a lot of
Yeah.
us like to imagine, and have plans and ideas about who we are and how life's going to go and how our kids are going to turn out and how these jobs are going to turn out
Yeah.
and expectations for ourselves personally and our own personal growth. And it could be spiritual, it could be health, it could be a number of things. And we've talked ourselves into like these things are good, like God wants us to pursue these things, and this is the pathway to go. And then a lot of just failure sets in, or things outside of our control, or we're not as wise or strong enough or spiritual enough to get it together, and then we're left with like the letdown of our failure. And I
Hmm.
feel like that's kind of like, yeah, like we should feel that because that's our humanity. And God's like, hey, instead of the heights of the heavens, I'm going to be down here, as has been written before in a popular blog of someone who went through cancer and did not defeat it, is God's down here on the bathroom floor. He's down here at the end of the rope. He's down here
Yeah.
in death, in literally in our deaths. That's where you'll find him,
Yeah.
because to see him truly as he wants to be seen, dude, there is no room for all this pride and boasting. And tomorrow I'm going to do this and that, and all these expectations, and, the heights of ambition and lofty goals and ideas, or inflated views of who you are and what you're able to do. He's down here at the bottom of who we really are. saying, I've been here all along, and guess what? I love you. Period. No ifs, ands,
Yeah.
buts, or fine print. And I'm with you. And all He promises is presence. And His presence isn't going anywhere. And your
No.
behavior and every other human being before you ever entered this world, who at our core is exactly the same way, you know, might manifest itself differently in your personality. He knew exactly who we were. He knew exactly who we are and chose to unite Himself to us to give us
Yeah.
His presence.
Which I think it's got, that's what James is saying, right? Like, dude, enjoy the things tomorrow. Walk in things, right? That are good and beautiful. And give thanks for it. But
Mhm.
this boasting about it, this building your identity on it, like what I mean, he's like kind of like looking at this crowd. He's like, have you forgotten like reality? Yeah, man, I'm just going to be doing this next year to really like overcome this thing, escape this, right? This struggle. And it's like, maybe. Well, I just really want to like get to where the Lord's at. And as you just said, like, well, bro, I'm here to bring you some good news of what is. And what is that, that deepest part of that shame that you're working so damn hard to hide, to overcome. Yeah. Yeah. That's where Jesus lives.
Yeah, dude.
And that's where he said you'll find him.
You're really running from Him
Yeah.
because the pain of Him, of really truly, like, in a sober way, embracing those worst parts of who we are.
Yeah.
It's why they throw diamonds on black cloth to show you its beauty, to really like see where it shines.
Yeah.
Um, and the backdrop of our brokenness is where grace truly is amazing.
Yeah, man. That's where you see it. It's like, ah. Yeah, my favorite line in that song, I once was blind, but now I see. That's the invitation here, man, to see what is good and beautiful so you can walk in what is good and beautiful. We don't have to complicate it, but I think we do have to just embrace that because life can be hard, man. I talked with a friend whose wife just had a double mastectomy, 4 kids, 3 days ago, dude. And everybody's
Um,
like, well, I mean, right? Family and friends that are struggling still from the aftermath of, Helene, school shooting last week. I'm just saying, like, I got another friend who's a dear foster kid, man, that they had for a season that they loved, was able to get like reunited with his family. Dude died in a house fire with his family last week. Like, this is like, these are real things in life, man, that sort of like put up a stop sign in front of but tomorrow, right? It's like, nah, man. The good news of Emmanuel is we can enjoy the good things today and we can endure the hard times today because today is what we have. Tomorrow is a myth. And whatever we get to walk in that's good, give thanks and enjoy it. Don't don't let it turn into something of, me, and that you're boasting about it. I'll say this, and I just love this. Just want to share this before we wrap this up. It's a poem, the Manifesto, the Mad Farmer Liberation Front from Wendell Berry. He said, "Expect the end of the world." You're talking about joy today, joy to the world. The Lord has come. Yeah, yeah. Expect the end of the world. He says, laugh. Laughter is immeasurable. Be joyful, though you have considered all the facts. Like, dude, what a great poem, man. Just to remember at Christmas time, right? Be joyful, though you have considered all the facts.
yeah, that's great.
All the facts. He did come and proclaim good news to the poor, right? He has brought liberation, man, to the captives. He has set us free from the delusion of our religion with the news of our union. He is present in good and hard times. Faith is trusting in who he is, not just for us, but for everybody. And that, I think, allows you to do what Wendell's talking about, man. It's draw near to him, resist, right? The enemy. Don't let yourself get caught up in judging. It's a fool's errand. So is boasting about tomorrow. Good news of Emmanuel is life today.
Amen to that, man. Good stuff.
Merry Christmas, folks.
Merry Christmas.